say shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oh, say shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oh, say shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oh, say shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen.
Welcome to this year's Acti Erev Rosh Hashanah service. Our theme this year is Hineni, showing up for yourself and others. This is a very important topic as we head into our new year as a congregation. While our faith encourages us to help others and the community around us, it is also vital for us all to be sure that we carve out time to take care of and show up for ourselves. It can be easy to take on the role of the caretaker and to refuse help from those around us. But we can't do it all on our own, and we shouldn't force ourselves to. I'm so glad you could all join us for this time together, and Shana Tova.
Please turn to page 11. The first mitzvah in the Torah is let there be light. So we are commanded, in everything you do, be a menorah, a bringer of light. Live with honor, act with integrity, do your work with passion, and the radiance of your deeds will live after you. May our ideals burn bright, forever unextinguished, and may we live our lives like the flames we kindle, always stretching upward, striving for the good, reaching for you.
Please join me in the candle blessings. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu ad ner shel yom tov.
The Shehechianu has stood out to me as one of my favorite prayers, especially because of how versatile it can be. It gives thanks to God for allowing us to reach a special moment in time. These moments could be anything from a wedding to seeing a beautiful sunset to catching up with an old friend. In the coming year, I encourage you all to find more of your own Shehechianu moments. Please join me in the Shehechianu on page 11. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Please rise as we continue with the Baruch Hu on page 20. Baruch Hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam vaed.
In the very beginning of our Jewish education, many of us learn about God's creation of the earth and that light and darkness were created on the very first day. But yet the sun, moon, and stars were not created until the fourth day. If that's the case, what kind of light existed before then? One midrash says that the light before the sun, moon, and stars was God's greatness made visible. In order to save this special light for the righteous, a blanket was placed over it. But God didn't want to leave us completely in the dark, so holes were poked in the blanket, slowly creating the stars as more righteous acts were done on the earth. As you listen to the next prayer, try to think of what you could do in the new year to let us see more of God's greatness and help bring about more stars. Please join us in the Ma'ariv Aravim.
Turn to page 22. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim. Bichochma poteach she'arim, uvitvune mishmana itim. Umachalif et hamaznim, umsader et hakochamvim, b'mishmerotehem, barakakia, kirsono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom vein laila, Adonai tzivaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim.
Please join me at the top of page 24 for Ahavat Olam. Oh, after you.
Okay. Okay. You can't hate yourself into being happy. You can criticize yourself into presenting how you want to present. You can't shame yourself into feeling worthy. True change begins with self-love and making time for you.
Now, please join me at the top of page 24 for Ahavat Olam. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Amcha ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu lemadeta, otanu lemadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shochbeinu, uvkumenu nasiach behukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'mishvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, uvahem nege yomam v'layla, nege yomam v'layla. Ve'ahavta chal tasim, mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev et amo Yisrael, ohev et amo Yisrael.
As you grow older, you will discover that you have two hands, one for helping yourself, the other for helping others. Maya Angelou.
Please rise as we continue with the Shema. Can be found on page 26.
Please turn to page 28. You may be seated. Please join me on page 28 for the Ve'ahavta. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol nafshecha v'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher Anohim mitzavecha hayom al levanecha Vishinantam levanecha v'divarta bam v'shivtecha beitecha uvleftecha v'derech uv'shafbecha uv'kumecha ושרתם לעוד על ידיך, יהיו לשתפו בין עיניך, ובטחתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. Page 30. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Jews have a history of living life to the fullest. As we make the most of the moments we have and continue to be grateful for those moments, we honor our ancestors who risked their lives to cross the Red Sea and escape slavery. It is said that those very ancestors chose to make the most of their day. In that moment, they chose to rejoice in song.
Please join me in the middle of page 34 with Micha Mocha. Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha netar ba'kodesh, mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha netar ba'kodesh. Nora tehilot, osef elem, Nora tehilot, osef Kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh, mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh. Nora tehilot, osef elem, Nora tehilot, osef Adonai imloch leolam va'ed.
Please join me at the top of page 35. By walking, I found out where I was going. By intensely hating, how to love. By loving, whom and what to love. By grieving, how to laugh from the belly. Out of infirmity, I have built strength. Out of untruth, truth. From hypocrisy, I wove directness. Almost now, I know who I am. Almost I have the boldness to be that man. Another step, and I shall be where I started from.
Please join me at the top of page 36 for Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu Adonai V'hamidenu shomrenu lechaim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom. V'hamidenu shomrenu lechaim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, from sorrow and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom. V'hamidenu shomrenu lechaim.
Please join us on page 45. For us, the Book of Life has been reduced to words of casual welcome, spoken or written on cards. Lashana Tova Tikatevu. May you be inscribed for a good year. The Book of Life, I wonder, is that all it means today? When I hear those words to me have meaning. I do not see a ledger in the skies wherein my fate is written, signed, and sealed, nor do I see some greeting card bedecked with gaily colored scenes, where on the bottom line, unvocalized, appear the words, Lashana Tova Tikatevu. The Book of Life to me is a symbol. It says to me, you are recorded. What you say is more than words whispered into the wind. What you are is something more than pebbles on a beach. What you do has an effect.
Please join on page 42 for the Avot V'Imahot. And rise. Adonai sifata tiftach ufi yagita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rahel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei hakol, v'zocher hasdei avot v'imahot, u'mevi gula livnei v'neihem, l'man shmo b'ahava, melech hozer u'moshia u'magen. Baruch atah Adonai, magen Avraham v'ezrat Sarah, atah gibor leolam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atara l'voshia, Mechakel haim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rami. Somech noflim verufeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha bo kivurot, Umido melach, melech memi tu mechaye, umatzmir Yeshua, Remanatan hayodakom, Baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hakol.
Please turn to page 16. You can be seated. Here I am, one soul within this prayer community. Like those around me, I bring my own concerns and yearnings to this place, hoping they will find expressions in the time-hallowed words of my people and the traditions cherished by generations before me. May I bring the best of my earnings to these holy days, approaching the spiritual work with an open heart and mind, sincerity and sustained focus on the deep questions of the season. Who am I? How shall I live? How have I fallen short or failed? This night I take up the challenge of the days of awe, Heshvan Hanfesh, a searching examination of my life, a moral inventory of my deeds, words, and thoughts. During these next 10 days, let me face the truth about myself and listen to your still, small voice. Taking comfort in your promise that I am always free to change, released from staleness and routine, let me know the joy of beginning again. May I gain strength as I share this task with those around me, united by our common purpose, Tikkun Midot, improving our character, and Tikkun Olam, repairing the world. I now prepare myself to pray, one soul amidst this holy congregation. Please pray silently.
Please join me at the top of page 70 for Yehiyu Liratzon. Yehiyu Liratzon, Imre fi, Vehegyon libi, Lefanecha. Tsuri Adonai Tsuri Vegoali Yehiyu Liratzon Imre fi Vehegyon libi Lefanecha Adonai Tsuri Adonai Tsuri Vegoali
This is a Misha Berach for those who climbed daily into their cars, buses, subways, and trains.
For those who lost their jobs, homes, and food, for those anxiously waiting for what the future will bring.
This is for the children, the elderly, the ones with intellectual disabilities who do not understand why their lives suddenly and so drastically changed.
This is for the addicts, the ones in need of medication, and the ones in need of group support and therapy, who struggle with the absence of healthy habits.
Please join me in singing Misha Berach. Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu Makor habracha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema. The renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Please turn to page 65. I want to write about faith, about the way the moon rises over cold snow night after night, faithful even as it fades from fullness, slowly becoming that last curving and impossible sliver of light before the final darkness. But I have no faith myself. I refuse it even the smallest entry. Let this then, my small poem, like a new moon, slender and barely open, be the first prayer that opens me to faith.
The original teaching of the Avinu Malkeinu uses the term, Our Father, Our King. In recent years, many have found their own terms in this classic prayer. In the coming year, I urge you to find your own personal meaning in this traditional translation.
Please turn to page 76 for the Avinu Malkeinu. And please rise.
Avinu Malkeinu, ein lanu melech ela ata.
Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, you alone are sovereign.
Avinu Malkeinu, lema'an ha-rachim aleinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, for your sake, show us mercy.
Avinu Malkeinu, aseh imanu leman shemecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, act toward us as befits your name.
Avinu Malkeinu, shelach refuah shlema lechole amecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, bring healing and wholeness to the ill among us.
Avinu Malkeinu, kara roa gezar dinenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, allay the harshness of the decree against us.
Avinu Malkeinu, kotvenu besefer geula vishua.
Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of redemption and renewal.
Avinu Malkeinu, zochrenu bezicharon tov lifanecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, remember our goodness and call it to mind.
Avinu Malkeinu, aseh lemancha v'hoshienu.
Avinu Malkeinu, act for your sake and save us.
Avinu Malkeinu, shema kolenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, hear our voice.
Avinu Malkeinu, chatanu lifanecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, you have strayed and sinned before you.
Avinu Malkeinu, chamal aleinu ve'al olalenu v'tapenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and our families.
Avinu Malkeinu, kale dever v'cherev v'ra'av me alenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, halt the onslaught of sickness, violence, and hunger.
Avinu Malkeinu, kale kol tsar umastin me alenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, halt the reign of those who cause pain and terror.
Avinu Malkeinu, kotvenu besefer chaim tovim.
Avinu Malkeinu, enter our names in the book of lives well lived.
Avinu Malkeinu, chadesh alenu shana tova.
Avinu Malkeinu, renew us a year of goodness.
Avinu Malkeinu, honenu va'anenu ki ein banu ma'asim. Aseh imanu tzedakah v'chesed v'choseyanu.
Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, answer us with grace, for our deeds are wanting. Save us through acts of injustice and love.
Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu Vanenu, Ki ein banu masim. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu Vanenu, Ki ein banu masim. Aseh imanu tzedakah v'chesed. Aseh imanu tzedakah v'chesed v'hoshienu. Aseh imanu tzedakah v'chesed. Aseh imanu tzedakah v'chesed v'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu. You may be seated.
Shana Tova. There is a famous Yiddish proverb that says, "The smoothest path is the one full of stones." I have found that to be true in my life adventures. Perhaps, if you think about it, you have too. My most enduring memory of living in Israel, outside of the delightful tastes of falafel and chocolate rugelach at the Shuk, Jerusalem's outdoor market, is the first adventurous outing I took with my rabbinical school class in 1992, a few years ago. My first ever hike that year was in the north. Israel's landscape is not beautiful in the conventional sense. Its beauty emanates from the roughly hewn stones and farms that dot the country's landscape. As a 23-year-old, my body was strong and willing to grab onto the rocks and handrails that have been touched through generations by those who came before me. With the warm sun pressing on my back and a water bottle by my side, I successfully scaled the mountainous terrain along with my classmates. It was the challenge of those climbs that renewed a sense of faith in myself. I learned that my body worked, and maybe just as importantly, my fears were conquered with each and every step. When I think back on those adventures 3 decades ago, I am reminded of a story a colleague once told. He writes, "One day, my daughter Noah, who has physical disabilities, asked me if she could have a rock climbing party for her 12th birthday. I froze. I'd always been so careful to protect Noah from disappointment. I'd gone to great lengths to create parties where she couldn't get left out or feel that her friends surpassed her. I said, 'No, I don't think that's a good idea.' 'But why?' she pressed me. 'It's too expensive,' I said. But day after day, Noah kept pushing for the rock climbing party. Eventually, I gave in, but I was still worried. On the day of the party, Noah put on a climber's harness, and to my amazement, she pushed with her legs and pulled with her arms and boldly made her way up the wall. It wasn't easy, but she climbed and climbed. She was fearless, beaming with joy. I was so wrong about her. During the party, there was a boy about Noah's age who was too frightened to climb. His father was encouraging him, but he stood frozen in his place. His muscles were strong, but his fear was stronger still. That day, my daughter taught me an invaluable lesson. Our greatest disability is fear. Our greatest strength is courage. In climbing, it is the smoothest surface that is the most treacherous. A rough, rocky landscape is fertile ground for ascension. If you want to rise up, don't fear the bumps. Turn every stone into a step. As I looked around the gym, as I looked around that day, I couldn't help but wonder if the key to a meaningful life was embedded in that rock wall. The beckoning stones gave me my answer. The challenge in life is as simple as this. Do I stare at the wall, or do I climb? On Rosh Hashanah, we listen, and we will soon listen, to the unique, coarse, evocative sounds of the shofar. Did you know that the sound of the shofar should not be beautiful at all? One rabbi put it this way: blowing trumpets is not prescribed for this day. In fact, if someone manages to blow the shofar in such a manner that its sounds would be like real music, she has not fulfilled her duty. Life can be beautiful, life can be messy, and sometimes it is beautifully messy. The way we grow is not by easy sailing or by walking on smooth stones. Rather, it's through the rough climb that will take us to our greatest peaks. So I close with words from my colleague, Rabbi Angela Buckdahl. She writes, if you have come here tonight on Rosh Hashanah and feel that there is nothing to examine, no wound in your life to heal, no relationship to repair, then I hope you will listen especially closely to the shofar. The purpose of the shofar blast, she writes, is to shake us up, to disturb our status quo. The shofar called shavarim literally means broken. And if you do not feel any cracks emerge from that sonic signal, you might ask yourself if you've truly fulfilled your obligation to hear it. For the shofar blast should be a wake-up call that reminds us to dig a little deeper, to bear into what is hard, to stop living life on the surface of it all, to return to our fractured relationships, to lean into the grief that you're feeling for someone you lost, to examine the imperfections that we constantly criticize, and then to get a little curious. Perhaps this pain, this flaw, this broken heart has a purpose. So, may we all lean into the sometimes challenging terrain that waits before us. What does it feel like to lean in just a little bit more, to feel it a little bit more? That's what these days are about. Not smooth sailing, but sometimes taking on that rough terrain. So let us remember that when we hold our breath before taking the next step, we all must eventually exhale. And when we do, let courage carry us through until our bodies rest again with joyful exhaustion. Amen.
Please turn to page 206 and join in the prayer over the shofar and the shechechianu. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, lishmoa kol shofar. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehachianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Tekiah, Shvarim, Teruah, Tekiah, Tekiah, Shvarim, Tekiah, Tekiah, Teruah, Tekiah Gedolah. Whew. That should go up.
Please join me in the Aleinu on page 82. And please rise. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latid gedula leotzer breshit, shelo asanu kikuei haratzot, velo samanu kamishbechot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, Umishtahavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu.
You may be seated. Please turn to page 87 and follow along as I read Life After Death. These things I know, how the living go on living, and how the dead go on living with them, so that in a forest even a dead tree casts a shadow, and the leaves fall one by one, and the branches break in the wind, and the bark peels off slowly, and the trunk cracks, and the rain seeps in through the cracks, and the trunk falls to the ground, and the moss covers it, and in the spring the rabbits find it and build their nests inside the dead tree, so that nothing is wasted in nature or in love.
Continue now with the mourner's Kaddish. On page 90, we remember those who have died in the last 30 days in the period of Shiva and Shloshim. We remember Jill Babish, Elaine Harris Green, Gloria Greenwald, Ronna Markowitz, Alice Smolin, Maxine Cowan Fine, Micah Beisel, Judith Giller Leinwohl, Esther Rubin. To this list, we add the names of the 6 million who perished in the Shoah, those who died in the Holocaust, and we say Kaddish for all those who have no one to say Kaddish for them. We invite you now to rise as you are able. Kaddish praise. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach yirite v'yamlich malchute, v'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'galau v'zman kari v'imru. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam alomeo maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudesha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru. Yehei shalom rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved, and we say together, Amen. You may be seated.
All right. Shana Tova, everyone, and thank you all for being here tonight. My name is Jordan Levine, and I'm honored to serve as your ACTI president this year. This Rosh Hashanah, the theme for our service is Hineni, being there for yourself and others. Although this task seems like a simple one to accomplish, I believe that we often only look at half of it. We often forget to be there for ourselves. We put so much of our time and spirit into making sure that those around us are content and satisfied that we usually overlook our own needs. The concept of Hineni is about both of these parts. We have to be there for ourselves in order to be there for others wholeheartedly in the end. My best friend once described me as a feeler. I enjoy being a support system for my community and will go to great lengths to make sure that those around me feel welcome and comfortable. I feel as though I can sense the intense and various emotions of others and desire to make everyone satisfied, just as our theme of Hineni states today. But the problem is that I was often never there for myself, burying my feelings of hurt and anger far beneath the surface with a shovel of guilt. I only had half of the equation. I was always there for others, but never for myself. But just as my math teachers have stated over the years, you need the whole equation to correctly solve the problem. My eyes were opened after this conversation, and I hope to open yours today as well. This Rosh Hashanah, make it a priority that you are taking great care of yourself. A new year makes way for new opportunities, experiences, and mistakes. Embrace the good and the bad because they make us who we are. No one is perfect and no one will ever be, but the first step is to have Hineni and be there for yourself and others. I would like to take this time to thank some extremely important people who have made this service possible. Hope Nosenchuk, our religious and cultural vice president, puts in hours upon hours each year to make these services so memorable. They choose our theme, assign parts to participants, and design the entire service while still being a student. I will always be inspired by Hope's ardent willingness to put 100% of their energy into everything that they do, especially when planning our services. Stacy Cohen, our youth group advisor, also deserves all of our thanks. Even after we graduate, Stacy will still be here, coaching the next generation of future Jewish adults. She directly prepares future generations and shapes their futures, and for that we owe her so much. Lastly, I would like to thank each and every one of you for coming to our service. Your support means everything, and we hope to see you at our teen-led Erev Kol Nidre service as well. Shana Tova.
Please join us in the blessings over the wine and the challah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pari hagafen. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz, we give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together, as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Hi, everyone. I'm Stacy Cohen, the one who's still here after everyone leaves, and will continue to be. A few announcements before we end the service. Like Jordan mentioned, we hope you join us for Yom Kippur, but there's still more Rosh Hashanah to have. Tomorrow, we hope you join us for Tashlich. Everyone should have received one of these nice handouts when they walked in. Tashlich, we will meet here at the temple in the parking lot at 3:30 and caravan to a home of a congregate at the Shaker Lakes. So no need to bring crumbs. We'll supply those for you. Please also make sure that you take a brown paper bag or a few home with you today for our food drive, which is October 4th through the 19th. Our community has been supportive and generous during previous high holiday food drives, even when we didn't gather in person, but bags are available for you to fill. You can use your own grocery bags if you'd rather, and bring in donations anytime. The collection will run through October 19th. And please join us in your other handout that Jordan and Hope both made together for our closing song, Sweet as Honey.
Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Baruch atah Adonai Asher Kiddushanu, B'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, La'asok b'divrei Torah, La'asok b'divrei Torah. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Baruch Atam Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Kiddushanu B'mitzvotav v'tzivanu La'asok b'divrei Torah, La'asok b'divrei Torah. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Shana Tova. Can I see you up close?
Yeah, you got he's literally. Yeah. He couldn't see your face, so then I offered. I said maybe a mask. The hair got a little.
I like how the neck is ours.
It is serious.
Jordan.